So we're gonna get hardcore vulnerable today. I had a very stressful year last year. I'm so done with lacking confidence. Not having confidence is so boring. We're gonna do a fake it till you make it year. And I talk about this a lot online. I've talked about it for ages and I'm bored of hearing myself talk about it. I wanna just do it. Oh my goodness, this is so exciting. Let's clip her on. Does that work? I think I'm just gonna be annoying and hold it. I hope that's okay. Coming to you with a very chilled and chatty video today. Do your laundry. Do your washing up. Just put this on in the background. Because honestly, that's all I want to watch right now. I have had a rough month, to say the least, but it's finally looking up. When things are a bit difficult, I tend to lean into planning to try and find a sense of control in amongst the chaos. And so it might seem counterintuitive when things are kind of chaotic to then set a load of New Year's goals, but it felt right. So I wanted to talk about them. For the past few years, I found setting goals very motivating and really helpful, and they kind of push me to achieve a bit more than I necessarily would, because I feel like having the goals makes me create a plan, and then a plan creates habits, and habits I can stick to. This is a very idealized version of what my goal setting life ends up looking like. But you know, I manage myself like there's no one to tell me what to do and when in any aspect of my life. So yeah, I think I find goals a great source of comfort. I really love watching videos about people's New Year's goals. So I thought, why not share with you everything I've got down here? Because I've gone in. That makes it sound a lot more intimidating than it is. I'm actually trying out the 12-week year method. So I actually have 10 goals, I think, but spread across 4 12-week periods. But yeah, this is a very cozy video today. I have my cup of tea. This is decaf Earl Grey with a little bit of almond milk. And I've got my Notion template, which I will link below. I bought it from an Etsy seller, I think, for about $5. And it is honestly one of the best, most thorough, templates that I've ever come across. I really recommend it. So if you haven't started doing any New Year's planning yet, but you've really wanted to, but haven't necessarily had the kick to do it yet, let this be your kick. It's money well spent. So we're gonna get hardcore vulnerable today because I am gonna share my goals for the year. And I think fundamentally that is quite a vulnerable place to come from. So let me talk you through, first of all, the 12-week year planner that I downloaded and how the 12-week year concept works. I'd seen a little bit about it on TikTok and it seemed a bit idealistic to me, but actually doing it at the top of the year feels like I understand it a bit more. So basically you break your year down into quarters, Q1, Q2, Q3, and Q4. And then instead of setting 12 goals for the whole year, you set 3 goals for Q1 and you focus on those, and then 3 goals for Q2 and you focus on those, etc., etc. So you will have 12 goals for the whole year, but you won't be focused on all of those goals all year. It breaks it down into more manageable chunks. And once you've chosen your goals, you can then break those goals down into actions and habits. And you can use a habit tracker as well to make sure that you're fulfilling those tasks. The thing I particularly liked about this Notion template is that you get a percentage score of how far through you are. Not with the habit tracking, I don't think, but with the tasks you have associated with each goal. So when you work out how to put that goal into actions, you get a really satisfying score of what percentage way through you are to achieving that goal. And I found that really useful. I probably should have done it in a more factual sense, but I just went with actions as opposed to achievements, if that makes sense. I don't think that makes much sense at all, actually. I do my best. If you catch the staining on this jumper, please forgive me. It's not curry, it's the dust from some lilies that we had in the kitchen. I must have put my sleeve in some of the fallen lily nectar dust. What's that called? Pollen. There we go. I must have put my arm in some of the pollen and unfortunately it's left a stain. I have washed this jumper since, but it just hasn't come out. And this is my comfort jumper. Jack thinks it is so gross. I don't know why. He finds it itchy and weird and oversized and just says I look like a school teacher in it, but I personally love it. So there. This 12-week year planner also has a bunch of pages that kind of work as templates. So we're going to start from page 1, which was the self-assessment. Initially, I clicked into this and just thought, F off. Actually, I can swear, it's my own channel. I initially thought, fuck off. I don't want to self-assess right now. I was just not in the mood. I just wanted to get the goals done and have a tracker for them. But actually, the self-assessment really helped me self-assess. I know, shock horror. But it really helped me evaluate where I am in my life currently and what is important to me. And I think I really needed that because it pointed out some really key core things about my life that are important right now and where I am happiest and where I am least happy. I know that Ali Abdaal actually recommends that you do a little chart for this as well as writing it down, but you basically rate areas of your life 1 through 10, and then you can see where you might need a bit of work. So let's talk about it. Let's get honest. Woo! So in terms of family, in some respects, I feel very happy with my family dynamic. However, as I mentioned, I've had a terrible month. My dad had a stroke and got very sick very fast. However, he is on the road to recovery, and I would like to be able to assist with that in every way I can, of course. So one of my goals for this year is to learn to drive. The self-assessment asks, what does your current reality look like? And I wrote in this, my dad is recovering and I will need to be as capable as possible without burning myself out. It's really hard to have any sense of perspective on this at the moment because everything is in such a fluid liminal space right now. So I really identified in that, like, I need to support myself as well, and I need to be helpful, but not in ways that are me trying to exert control, trying to regain a sense of agency over a situation where fundamentally none of us have any agency. But I just have to trust that I will step up where I can, be practical and helpful where I can, but fundamentally I've got to let go of this desire to fix things and instead focus on the things that I am in control of. And in this case, hopefully it will be driving. In terms of my relationship, rated that a 9 out of 10, very good. In terms of my friendships, I rated that a 10 out of 10. I am very lucky. My friendships are so fulfilling, so amazing. In terms of work and my financial world, I had a very stressful year last year. Let me be very frank about how rough the first half of last year was as myself, a content creator full time through what was the edge, the precipice of a recession. I didn't get paid any large sums of money in terms of brand sponsorships, which is a large portion of my income, for 5 months. And that is the most financially unstable I've been in 6.5 years. So it was a real shock. And I had just also bought this flat with my boyfriend, this amazing flat, but obviously I'd put all of my savings in. So not only was I not getting paid, the cushion I normally had that I'd saved up to prepare me for just a large unknown period of time had gone. I only had a very small emergency fund left, and it was really hardcore. And following on from that, when brands did start paying again and work started to pick up, I became really aware of how unsustainable I'd made the way that I'd created my business and my job, and how I used to have a bunch of revenue streams, but I'd really dropped that down after the pandemic, kind of by accident. I hadn't even realized I'd done it, but it was a real wake-up call that I needed to be more sustainable. During those 6 months, I became very fearful around money. I thought about money every morning and every night. And then unfortunately, I brought that fear well into the next 6 months. And so going into the next year, I'd really like to feel more financially secure, but then also make better decisions to make sure I feel more financially secure. And then when I took a step back towards the end of the year and actually looked at the way I was working, I could see that it was not very sustainable. I was putting all of this effort into the wrong places, basically, and not allowing myself space to develop new parts of what I do. Even stuff like short form video and TikTok and Instagram, I hadn't really even left space to put any energy or focus into that. And that area of my little online world was really suffering. And I actually really love doing Instagram and TikTok. I think they're so much fun. And I wasn't able to enjoy that as much because I'd put all this emphasis on other parts of my work that were really draining and less fulfilling. And I mean that in every single sense. So basically with work, I had a real wake-up call last year. In another sense, it was an unfulfilling year as well because I did not get to launch Hours, which I really wanted to do. I got in a kind of legal back and forth basically about it. I kind of partnered with some people, I left them. I can't really talk too much about it, but I'm hoping that Hours will eventually happen. But I think I'm realizing from talking to other founders who are creators that there is a lot we don't know about creator businesses and how they're built behind the scenes and all of the stuff that happens and how many difficult moments and errors there are, all littering the journey of those businesses. Like the version that we see as consumers is very glossy, and the reality of starting a business is much more complicated. And so I'm doing my best, but it is not my primary focus. So I would love to make more space to develop hours and hopefully launch it at some point this year. In terms of health, I'd got into a really good place at the end of the year before my dad got very sick. I was going to the gym regularly, I was eating well, and I was just feeling generally better. And I mean that in the sense of my cyclical, intrusive thoughts around food and around my body image were starting to slow down. And that, if you've ever experienced that before, you will know that when those quieten down, it's the biggest blessing in the world. So I've rated that a 6 because I want that to keep going and building over the course of the year. In terms of lifestyle, I've written a lot here, but the main thing that has been really evident and coming across so much in the latter half of last year is that I am addicted to social media. Yeah, man. And by spending so much time online, I really do enter this echo chamber, and I'm not really discovering any new ideas or seeing any well-developed creative thoughts. Like, I read a lot of articles, I listen to podcasts. All of these are very like surface level thoughts often, or they're good thoughts, but like you're not kind of getting the art of what these people have researched and learned all about and all those kind of things. A lot of the time it's very conversational. It's quite a light version of people's creativity or self-expression or knowledge. And so something I really want to do is dive further into things and just build out the media I'm consuming. And I talk about this a lot online. I've talked about it for ages and I'm bored of hearing myself talk about it. I want to just do it. I want to build habits that bring me joy because someone said online recently, again, a TikTok, see, social media addicted, that said that the habits you develop in your 20s become your lifestyle in your 30s or something very similar. And it spooked me to my core because I do not want 6 to 7 hours on my screen, on my phone every day to become my life. I think I discovered that's about 60 days a year. Oh, I'm getting a call from my mother. One sec. Bless my mum's heart, she wanted some help with some finances, all new areas that we're trying to be helpful in at the moment. So what was I saying? Yeah, I realized recently that this job of creating online can rot your brain. We see it in that discourse around Emma Chamberlain and how people are saying she should have just gone to college. You know, she has not been able to kind of nourish all the thoughts in her head or like develop them because she hasn't read around them. She hasn't learned theories about these things. And so it's kind of hard to listen to her podcast sometimes because it's like a bit of a washing machine. I don't listen to her podcast personally, so I can't comment on that. But I do relate to Instagram brain rot. My intellectual health is being neglected. The exact words I wrote in my self-assessment is, I am concerned that my job is making me stupid. I would like to be more intentional with my free time. I mentioned earlier that we bought this flat a year ago, and I think we've made some really nice progress with it. We decorated this little room here, but there is a lot more to do. And so I definitely want to prioritize that coming into 2024. And then finally, there is a spiritual section. And for that, I've kind of written a bit about my sobriety. So I quit drinking over 2 years ago. It's going well. I feel unbelievably so much better. Like, even though there's been like difficulties in my life since I got sober, the toolkit now that I have to deal with those things is much better. I feel very happy with my spiritual life. I just want to make sure I'm maintaining it. Just little things like making sure I write my gratitude list every night. After the self-assessment, we move on to the vision. And this is designed to help you define your long-term goals and aspirations. I also looked at this one really judgmentally at the beginning, but actually it was really helpful. It asked me what the end goal is, and ultimately the end goal is to make a living being creative online. So I'm kind of already there. I'm living a life beyond my wildest dreams. But I want this to be a symbiotic relationship that gives me freedom. And right now I do not feel very free in this job, which I know sounds so ungrateful and counterintuitive. I'm very aware of that. I'm so lucky that I'm in a position where I can make this job work for me. Not everyone is in that position with their work. So in terms of the vision, obviously family is that my dad makes a good recovery. Fingers crossed. Love and friendships, again, it's just a continuation of what I already have. Very grateful. For work, I wrote that I want to enter a new era. And I think that means being bold, taking risks, growing in confidence, changing things up. Because the current format of how I structure my week and how I structure my work is not working. So it's time to change it. And that's a blessing because when it's not working, that means you can break it and start again. The financial again is, I don't worry about money. I can afford everything I need. That would be great. For health, I wrote that I am fit, strong, and well. I am agile and taking care of myself for my old age. When a family member gets sick, I do think it just puts into perspective how important your health is and how many things you can do now that will have knock-on effects as you age. I'm never going to be someone who's picture perfect about any of this stuff. Like, I'm never going to be a marathon running, healthy eating lady. That's not my vibe, but I do want to nourish my body and take care of it. And it's an okay goal to have. You know, I was B team netball in my year group. Like, I was bad at most sport, but to just keep very mobile, make sure I'm using as many of my muscles as possible, especially as I spend so much time hunched over at my desk. I actually had a Japanese face, neck and head massage just before Christmas. Again, I made a TikTok of it that I was gonna put together, but obviously life happened. And she told me at the end that I've got a bit of tech neck and that I really need to work on it. So even stuff like that, like just making sure I'm not, you know, a little goblin by the time I'm 37. And in the lifestyle section, I wrote that I want to spend more of my downtime reading and doing hobbies. And I am intellectually and creatively fulfilled. This again plays into something else that I hate talking about because it feels so vulnerable, but I make music, I love making music, and I do it so much, but I don't share it. And I'm really gonna push myself this year to try and share it because it brings me so much joy. And I know people enjoy it. People tell me they like the music when they hear it. So why am I not embracing that and listening to them? I'm so done with lacking confidence. Like, not having confidence is so boring. Insecurity really does bring you nothing in this life. So we're gonna do a fake it till you make it year. Now we move on to the goals. Are you ready? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I've got 9 goals, which leaves space for one more on Q3, Q4, and Q5. Okay. So I've picked 9 goals. There's room for another 3. 1 in Q2, 1 Q3, 1 Q4. But I'm leaving them because I don't know what the end of Q1 will look like. The first goal in Q1 to pass my theory test. I assume it works the same in every country, but if you're somewhere else, then when you're learning to drive in the UK, you have to pass a theory test as well as your driving test. And so as soon as I realized I wanted to learn to drive, I just booked my theory test. So I've got my theory on the 5th of February and I'm just doing a bunch of revision at the moment because it would be very helpful to pass. This reminds me I need to book my first set of driving lessons as well. The second goal for Q1 is to fix up my relationship with social media. And we are doing that in a few different ways. The first is that I have installed an app called Opal, which gives stronger screen time restrictions. And bro, I am having a real wake-up call on how addicted to my phone I am. The discomfort I feel when I'm locked out of those apps, and those apps are just Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter, is alarming. But it's good to learn these things about yourself. We live and learn, and I know from quitting a few things in my time that it does get easier. On the vision page, they also ask you to make a vision board, and I actually need to adapt that and put that on the back of my phone as my phone background and as my laptop background. So I will do that after this video. And as part of fixing up my relationship with social media, I am trying to replace the time that I was spending on Instagram and TikTok and just listening endlessly to podcasts with reading, listening to audiobooks, watching films, watching telly. It might sound mad to people that watching telly for me is a healthier form of relaxation, but it's had so much more thought put into it, which is also why I've left YouTube unblocked, because I personally find my use of YouTube actually quite healthy. It's the instantaneous, endless scroll that really gets me and that I find very addictive. But I just think consuming anything that has been thought about a bit more is great. And then in turn, that also plays into creating myself, making music and knitting. My scarf is nearly done and I actually just need to hurry up and finish it because I want to wear it while it's still really chilly. My third goal for Q1 is just embarrassing and I feel embarrassed admitting it. But I've written that I want to reach 50,000 TikTok followers. Now hear me out. I'm not really interested in chasing numerical goals, but I needed to set a goal and then set actions that will take me towards my goal. And the goal of trying to grow to 50,000 TikTok followers is basically to focus on TikTok, but I'm trying to make it more of a smart goal with parameters. I want to deepen my connection with people on TikTok and also reach new people. And so I've just whacked an arbitrary number in there. And my main action that I'm doing right now to get there is to post every day in January. So on TikTok, I'm posting every day. If you want to go follow me, check me out. It's really good sometimes to just run the tap and then see where you get to and refine from there once you've worked out what's working and what's sticking and what you're enjoying as well. I do TikTok for fun. TikTok is so much fun for me. I just needed a number in there, so that's what I've done. Okay, Q2 goals. So we're not working on these yet, but they're ones that I want to you know, have in the locker. So the fourth goal, but this is my first goal of Q2, is to complete demos for an EP. I should just try and release some music by the end of the year. Even if I just put it on SoundCloud, I just need to do it because I'm being a little wimp. I'm done with being a wimp. So we're just going to do it. Even though this goal hasn't started yet, I'm still trying to write at least once a week. And then hopefully when I start this, I will crank that up to like 2 or 3 times a week. And to fulfill this goal, I'd also like to go on a creative retreat to polish everything, finish it off. And then I will need to do the hard bit of like reaching out to a bunch of people, finding someone to mix and master, trying to get some creative direction, artwork, videos, if I want to do all of that, which I don't think I'm mentally going to be able to do. Yeah, the business side of that, I just can't think about right now. I just need to focus on writing some good shit. The next goal, oh my God, these are so vulnerable. I want to develop 3+ revenue streams that bring in a solid amount of money a month. I realized last year that I was just doing so much, not very well. So I was really trying to like focus on like 7 things because I was so spread across all this stuff. I couldn't really nurture anything. So this year I've pared that down. I've narrowed my focus in, and I am going to be more consistent and develop those parts of what I do online. One of those things is Substack. I really want to nurture my Substack community and write more because I love it. It's so good. And again, that plays into the whole like, is my job making me stupid? I want to be consuming a bunch of really interesting things that stimulate my brain and then make me want to write. And again, strengthening TikTok could lead to more work. So that's a good thing too. And then also obviously nurturing my YouTube and making sure that what I post on here is probably less frequent, but much higher quality. In Q3, the first goal is to pass my driving test. The second goal is to launch Hours. Oh, I don't know if that's going to happen. I hope it will. And then my Q4 goal is to develop 4+ revenue streams that bring in a solid amount of money every month. I used to have 5 or 6 solid revenue streams, and I was just so much better mentally. So that's what I'm leaning towards now. And that might seem like really like hustle culture, girl boss thing to focus on, but it's just for my peace of mind around money and to make me feel more recession proof. As part of this, I would love by the end of the year to hire an assistant part-time just to help me and support me on some of the stuff that really does take up more of my time than it needs to because I'm just doing it myself, but it's not a great use of my time. So that would be really wonderful, but that is contingent on me having these stronger streams of income. And the final goal is to release an EP. And that is terrifying because it looks like I want to release a business and an EP all in 1 year. And that might seem insane, but you've got to remember I've been working on this stuff for like a really long time. This is years of work that are leading into this year. Every year, me and 2 of my friends, Lan and Molly, we go for a New Year's walk and then we sit down in a cafe and we talk about our years. We make predictions for each other's years. We read back the last year's predictions and laugh about how silly they were. And every year we set a word for each other. The girls, without me even telling them any of these ideas, said that my word this year was boss. And I was like, yeah, I love that. I can take boss as my word for the year. It's not very me. And that's, I think, one of the best parts of it. It's pushing me out of my comfort zone. It's forcing me to be a person that I don't feel like I am at the moment. Someone who's confident, someone who is successful. I need to get some water, but I'll be back. Hi, me again. Back from getting some water. My throat is really dry. Okay, so finally, let's talk about habits, because many of these goals rely on habits. So I've just set my Q1 habits. And it says, what habits do I need to implement to reach my goals? I'm just updating my habit tracking, don't mind me. So bear in mind that the goals for Q1 are to fix up my relationship with social media, to pass my theory test, and to reach 50k followers on TikTok. The habits that I have decided to do are to practice my theory every single day for the theory test. I've downloaded an app called Theory 4-in-1 that has a pass guarantee if you complete everything on the app. So that's what I'm trying to do. And I've got a month in which to do that. So I'm making good progress. I worked out how much I need to do a day and I'm doing pretty well. Again, in terms of getting offline, I want to read more than 1 page of a book every day. That includes audiobooks as well. I'm not going to make it harder for myself. A part of that, again, is having a morning routine. So not looking at my phone first thing in the morning. I have made it so that Opal bans me from looking at Instagram or TikTok until 10 a.m. every morning. It is a little bit more challenging because obviously with my dad being sick, I can't block WhatsApp. Like it wouldn't feel right. Just in case some news came through. I've also set it up now so that all calls will come through straight away. That's why my mum was able to just ring ring through right now. So making sure I get up and I've done my morning routine as soon as I've got out of bed is really important for me. So basically ticking morning routine is saying I did not go on Instagram or TikTok in the morning. My fourth habit is post on TikTok. I've got to do that once a day this month. And the fifth one is the gratitude list that I try and do every single night. I know it's not particularly cool, but writing gratitude lists has really changed my perspective on life, and I totally endorse it. I don't manage all of these every day, but some days I manage all of them. And this has actually been a really helpful way to track it. Can I just say Monday through Thursday this week were very good for me. I did all of my habits. And so those habits will change for Q2, Q3, and Q4. So that is how I'm doing my goals this year. I hope you've enjoyed this video. I need to go and rest my voice and also read my page and do my gratitude list. But thank you for joining me. I hope you've enjoyed this video. I hope you found it nice and soothing and interesting. Leave a comment below and let me know how you manage goal setting and whether you like setting goals, and if you do, how you go about making sure you hit them. I will leave the template for this 12-week year planner in the description as well. And before we go, a massive thank you to Squarespace, who have made this video possible. Squarespace is the all-in-one platform for building your brand and growing your business online. I've been using Squarespace for over 2 years now, and it was so easy to build my site, and it is so easy to maintain it. It's just such good value, and it's even easier to build your site now with Fluid Engine, which is Squarespace's brand new design system. There's flexible website templates, so if you want to run a course on your site, you can do that. If you want to host video on your site, you can definitely do that as well. You can have an online store on your Squarespace site. You can set up appointment booking. It is so versatile. And if you want to learn more about how your site is performing, there is a great analytics suite too. January is a great time to build your first site, and if you would like 10% off your first website or domain, head to squarespace.com/Lucy Moon or type in Lucy Moon at checkout. I'm a Squarespace girl through and through. So thank you so much, Squarespace, for working with me on this video. Even if you're not sure if you want to make a site yet, go to the link and check it out and just explore the features. Just check if it's something you want, because for me personally, it has really helped my business grow. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you in my next video. Ah, cute.